Have you ever heard the disaster happened in Fukushima Daiichi? After the Fukushima Daiichi disaster, Japanese nuclear power industry and government suffered from changing Japanese perceptions of nuclear power. The public thinks that nuclear power is inappropriate for a country so prone to major earthquakes and tsunamis. However, public needs to give a second chance and more tolerance to the Tokyo Electric Power Company and Japanese nuclear power industry. From a deontological perspective, Tokyo Electric Power Company is an ethical business. It has taken its duty well in the last 20 years and helped Tokyo City relieve from electrical shortage. Tokyo Electric Power Company did not have any rumors regarding safety issues until the disaster. After the Fukushima Daiichi disaster, Tokyo Electric Power Company built new seawall for Tomali's nuclear plant. The plant is already 10 meters above sea level, and this wall places an extra 6.5 meters in the way of any tsunami on top of that. This wall can prevent the nuclear plant from the accident that happened in Fukushima. The Japan Nuclear Regulation Authority has been charged with applying the strictest guidelines possible for the operation of the nuclear plant. Tokyo Electric Power Company has been taking guidelines very seriously. For instance, the company implemented emergency safety countermeasures for the Tomali's nuclear power plant to prevent damage to the reactor core and spent fuel in the event of a tsunami as high as the one that struck Fukushima. According to the company report, Tokyo Electric Power Company has also taken long-term safety countermeasures as part of Tokyo Electric Power Company's tireless efforts to ensure safety. Using utilitarian perspective, the benefit of having a nuclear plant outweighs the cost of having the plant. According to the Energy Information Administration report, Japan has very limited natural energy resources that have met less than 9% of the country's total primary energy use since 2012, compared with about 20% before the removal of nuclear power following the Fukushima plant accident. This means that Japan government has to spend more money on importing natural resources after Japan stopped its nuclear plant's operation. According to the EIA report, nuclear generation in Japan represented about 27% of the power generation prior to the 2011 earthquake and was one of the country's least expensive sources of electric power. If the Japanese continue to request to shut down the nuclear plant, they will only get more expensive electricity bills, higher government debt level, and revenue losses for electric utilities in return. Based on the current Japan economic condition, this clearly is not a wise choice for Japanese with increasing living costs. Additionally, operating the nuclear plant can reduce greenhouse effects. Compared to the traditional natural resource plants, nuclear plants generate no carbon dioxide during its operating procedures. The cost of having a nuclear plant is that people will be at risk of another nuclear devastation. The chance of that is very rare, and the Japanese government has taken a series of actions and strict regulations to prevent the repeat of disaster. A higher and thicker safety wall and more strict regulation can prevent the natural disaster and protect Japanese people from the radiation. Therefore, based on greatest goods for greatest people, operating its nuclear plant is the right choice for the Japanese. Another interesting fact is that the company used mascot heavily in this communication with the public. According to the Cracker, Tomali's mascot promoting approach is very popular, and now there are over 800 mascots in Japan. The cuteness of the mascot helps create approachability and familiarity that is not possible between two people. Tomali's mascot adds an appeal and friendliness between the nuclear power plant and the public. It helped Tomali's nuclear power plant restore its image in the public's mind. From a deontological perspective view, Tokyo Electric Power Company's marketing team has the right to use the mascot approach. Therefore, the company is just doing its job to improve people's life quality. The lack of transparency is another reason for public and foreign media to criticize the nuclear power industry. In fact, this character is commonplace in Japan's cooperate practice. Japan has a bureaucratic culture. They are prevented from responding quickly and effectively to crises or changes in the external competitive environment. The bureaucracy also gives more distance between the corporate leadership and its stakeholders. According to the Batiko, a famous journalist in Japan, the handling of the crisis by the Japanese government and cooperate authorities is consistent with a culture that carefully guards information from the public and leaves decision in the hands of anonymous bureaucrats. In addition, Japanese major media companies established the Reporters Club, which strictly excludes other outsiders. Therefore, it is not the Japanese nuclear industry's fault to seal the information. The Japanese culture should take responsibilities for that action. from utilitarian and deontological perspective, I think the Japanese nuclear industry deserves a better public image. Although Japanese government and Tokyo Electric Company has caused Japanese great suffers for the great goods, Japanese public needs to give a second chance to the nuclear power.